Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Beyond the glittering crowns and the flawless performances, what are the real levers that allow a beauty pageant to create meaningful, maybe lasting change?
That's a great question. It really takes us beyond the superficial, doesn't it?
It does. And today we're diving into the innovative approach of someone pretty influential in European pageantry.
Right, Helen Ligutom. What's fascinating is she's not just running one pageant.
No, to a whole portfolio.
Exactly. Mrs. Euro, Philippines Universe, Mrs. Universe Germany, Benelux, Continental Europe, Finland. That scale itself tells you there's a very deliberate vision there.
Definitely. And for this deep dive, you shared some really interesting sources. An episode of the Behind the Crown podcast featuring Helen.
Yeah, and also an interview with her from World Class Beauty Queens magazine. Good insights in both.
So our goal today really is to get to the core of her success, how she built this system that seems to value, more than just looks.
And pull out those key lessons, right? About vision, about legacy, about what real empowerment looks like in this context.
Exactly. Because the conversation around pageants often goes back and forth,
Yeah.
aesthetics versus purpose.
Mm-hmm. And Helen Ligutom, starting back in 2019 with Mrs. Euro Philippines Universe, she seems firmly planted on the side of, let's say, deeper impact.
That podcast episode really highlighted that initial spark, didn't it?
Yeah.
To uplift Filipino women across Europe.
It did. And what's striking is how quickly it grew from one pageant to this multinational thing.
It wasn't just about putting on a show. It sounds like from day one, the focus was on character, compassion, confidence, alongside the beauty aspect.
Those three C's, they seem absolutely foundational.
So how did those values actually get, baked into the structure, practically speaking?
Well, that's the key part, isn't it? Lots of organizations might say they value these things, but our system seems actively structured around them. The emphasis on fair, transparent judging that comes up in both sources.
Right, that builds trust, which you need for empowerment.
Totally. And it's not just saying we're fair, it's things like the prejudging on character traits. That's actively looking for and rewarding those qualities, not just how someone looks on stage.
And it goes beyond judging, too. The production value she aims for, getting celebrity guests involved.
And the charity work, that seems deeply woven in, not just tacked on.
Yeah, it feels integral. It's definitely a departure from just focusing on the physical. This mixed the look, the performance,
Yeah.
yes, but also tangible charity stuff, and this character assessment. It feels unique.
It is a unique formula. And how does that multifaceted approach really add up, you think?
Well, something that stood out from the magazine interview was the financial model.
Ah, yes, the registration fees,
Apparently, they're set up to cover the candidate's personal costs while they're participating.
which is quite different. Often it's more about revenue for the organization itself.
Right. So by handling those basics, the organization can put its money into the event, the production.
And crucially, the charity side.
Could that maybe make it easier for more people to participate? Less of a financial hurdle?
It could well do. It might signal a commitment more to the candidate experience than just, the bottom line.
That's a really interesting difference. And thinking about those early days, the interview mentioned that first event. They tried using raffle tickets.
Yeah, to cover costs initially, sounds like it maybe wasn't the smoothest start.
Some hurdles there.
It really highlights the practical side of launching something big. The interview hinted it was stressful, logistics, maybe pressure on the contestants too.
Okay, so that didn't last long.
No, they switched to direct registration fees for the second one. A key learning moment, seems like. Streamlined things, gave candidates maybe more control over finding sponsors.
Adapting the plan based on feedback. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
And underneath all this, the why seems consistently about empowerment. Helen talks a lot about uplifting women, especially mothers, helping them find their strength.
And what's really noticeable is how inclusive that vision is. It's not just the traditional pageant demographic.
Right. She welcomes women who aren't married, living together, divorced, single moms.
Her reasoning is pretty powerful, too. That maybe these women need more encouragement, a bigger platform.
That really challenges the usual ideas of who gets this kind of spotlight.
It does. And it ties right back to her belief that pageants can genuinely boost self-esteem, confidence.
It's not just about the crown for a night.
Yeah.
It's the whole process, the personal growth.
Exactly. And to really get why she believes that so strongly, understanding her own story seems important.
Yeah, the sources touched on that. Born in the Philippines, now in the Netherlands. Successful in business, too, right? Sustainable development.
Alexa Land Development Corporation, yeah. Already showing a focus on positive contribution even outside pageantry.
But digging deeper. growing up during civil unrest, food scarcity, working in rice field.
These weren't abstract things for her, formative realities, instilled that respect for education, hard work.
How do you think those early experiences directly shaped what she's doing now with the pageants?
Well, it almost certainly built resilience, right? And probably a deep desire to create opportunities she might not have had.
And the charity piece wasn't new either.
Not at all. Both sources mentioned she was involved in charity long before the pageants started. Supporting schools, kids in the Philippines, it seems like a core part of who she is.
Which connects perfectly to how charity is actually judged in Mrs. Euro Philippines universe. Not just encouraged, but assessed.
And specifically, looking at past charitable deeds that focus on authenticity is interesting.
Yeah, it's about action already taken, not just future promises. What does that tell you about the kind of women she's trying to attract?
It suggests she wants women who are already engaged citizens, already making a difference in their communities, not just seeing charity as a pageant requirement.
And creating titles like Queen of Charity or Mrs. Goodwill Ambassador Universe.
Titles that actively support the organization's own charity projects. It just reinforces that it's a genuine, ongoing commitment, not just symbolic.
And there are real examples. The interview mentioned past winners. Catherine Valdez, Julie Forsberg-Beleza.
Doing things like providing school supplies, feeding programs, supporting indigenous kids.
Tangible results. The platform being used for actual good.
Definitely. Now, thinking about the competition itself, how it's structured, it's evolved too, hasn't it?
Yeah, initially it sounded like the standard categories. Casual wear, swimwear, traditional costume, evening gown, Q&A.
The usual suspects.
But she talks about a shift, a more thorough pre-judging process now.
Right. It's not all about the final night anymore. They assess character.
Attitude, punctuality, personality, things like that.
Exactly. And documented charitable activities are part of that pre-judging, too. That feels like a significant change from the norm.
How does that wider assessment affect the whole feel of the competition, do you think?
It directly feeds into that character beyond beauty idea. I think the interview mentioned even the casual wear might be judged during like a dinner, more informal.
Oh, interesting. Seeing how they interact naturally.
Yeah, moving away from just the performance on stage towards, genuine personality.
So on the final night, you still have the production number. Swimwear, traditional costume, gown, the walk, poise.
And the Q&A, always crucial.
But those prejudged scores carry real weight. And those extra titles, Goodwill Ambassador, Queen of Philanthropy, they're based on those broader contributions too.
Recognizing different kinds of impact. And culturally, Mrs. Euro Philippines Universe holds significance too.
That Filipino traditional costume segment, it's not just visual spectacle.
No, it's a deliberate celebration, showcasing the diversity of Filipino culture within Europe. A platform for that.
And holding it in the Netherlands consistently. Just a practical thing. Because it's her home base.
Seems like it. Logistics for a big international event, Makes sense to have it where you're based.
And the winners. Their stories show the platform can be a launchpad.
Absolutely. Catherine Valdez, both sources mention her modeling career taking off after winning. Even a Times Square ad. That's major visibility.
Huge. And Julie Forsberg-Beleza, already in media, using it to amplify her work, competing at Mrs. Universe. It shows different paths open up.
And it's worth noting the other titles she directs, Germany, Benelux, Continental Europe, Finland, seem to have a slightly different approach.
How so?
More direct appointments, maybe. And the publicity seems a bit more focused, quieter, perhaps. Magazine interviews, that kind of thing. Suggests tailored strategies for each title's goals.
Which really brings us full circle, back to Helen Ligutom's main goal.
Yeah.
Trying to shift what beauty queen even means.
Moving beyond just the external. Really emphasizing inner beauty character.
She seems genuinely concerned about social media's impact too, right? The body perfection, pressure on young women.
Definitely. You get the sense she's actively trying to build a different atmosphere within her pageants. More camaraderie, less rivalry.
Friendship over fighting.
Yeah, rejecting that cutthroat environment you sometimes hear about.
And her definition of a real beauty queen. It's quite something.
It's comprehensive. Physical beauty is there, sure, but it's alongside goodness, decency, respect, discipline.
Confidence, charisma, courage, kindness, humility, integrity, sportsmanship, love.
It's a long list. And her point is powerful. It's the inner beauty that lets a queen actually do good in the world, maximize her impact.
So, wrapping up the key takeaways.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that purpose-driven vision she started with.
Yeah, and the commitment to building a system with real integrity, fair judging, transparency, focusing on values. That seems central.
And at the end of the day, the biggest impact is empowering women on a much deeper level than just, how they look in a gown.
It goes way beyond the superficial.
It really makes you think, though. In a world that's often obsessed with fairly narrow ideas of success and beauty, how can we take that philosophy, that character beyond beauty idea, and apply it more broadly? In our own lives, maybe.
That's a great lingering question. What other areas could use that focus? Emphasizing inner qualities, genuine contribution, alongside whatever the external markers are?
Yeah, thinking about what really creates lasting value, lasting change. Not just in pageants, but anywhere.
Maybe it's about looking past the surface more often,
Right.
recognizing the power of integrity, compassion, character, wherever we find it.
Another layer peeled back, another perspective gained. Until our next deep dive.
It straight, but the path I chose led me to this twisted state. Every step I take, the shadows start to sway. I'm lost inside the maze, can't seem to find my way. Caught up in the spiral, spinning round and round. Every turn I make, I'm falling to the ground. A tangled web of thoughts, I can't seem to unwind. This twisted world I'm in is messing with my mind. Twisted like the vines that grow around my heart, tearing me apart, leaving every scar. I'm twisted in the night, wrapped up in the dark, trying to break free, but I don't know where to start. Twisted, oh, I'm twisted. The mirror shows a face I barely recognize, a stranger looking back with haunted hollow eyes. The truth is twisted up, I can't tell what is real. Lost inside a dream that I can't help but feel. Caught up in the spiral, spinning round and round. Every turn I make, I'm falling to the ground. A tangled web of thoughts, I can't seem to unwind. This twisted world I'm in is messing with my mind. Twisted like the vines that grow around my heart, tearing me apart, leaving every scar. I'm twisted in the night, wrapped up in the dark, trying to break free, but I don't know where to start. Twisted, oh, I'm twisted. I reach out for the light, but it's too far away. The more I try to fight, the more I seem to stray. Caught in the confusion, I'm tangled in this fate, but somewhere in the madness, I'll find my way to break. Twisted, oh, I'm twisted. Twisted like the vines that grow around my heart, tearing me apart, leaving every scar. I'm twisted in the night, wrapped up in the dark, trying to break free, but I don't